Hey guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of Family by Design. We have our good friends Ashley and Carlie Terradez. Man, you're going to be really blessed as you listen to this. We're just talking about family, finances, and how to help your kids step in really to more than what you have. So be blessed and encouraged as you listen. So here we are with our good friends Ashley and Carlie Terradez, and so this is a real privilege to be able to have you guys. You've done so much for our ministry and for Liz and I, and so this is a little sliver of an opportunity to speak to our marriage and family audience. So,
well, thank you for having us.
We're so blessed to be here, honoured to be here. We love Ward Ministries. We love you guys. Consider good friends. So we love being here.
Amen.
With our friends, praise the Lord. It's fun, just hanging out, talking with our friends.
Yeah. So, and that's what we do with this podcast. We just have a conversation, and so it's called Family by Design.
Okay.
And so it's all about being intentional with whatever topic. And so, one of the things for you guys have a great marriage. We think anyways. Maybe you fight a lot.
26 years. 26 years.
We're still learning.
We're still learning 26 years.
Yeah. But you have a great marriage.
Well, we love each other
kids.
more today than when we met.
That is a good thing.
And when our kids all left home, we were happy. A lot of marriages, like the kids leave home and they fall apart.
And they don't know what to do.
No, we celebrated.
And we weren't happy because they were bad kids. They're great kids, but we like spending time together.
Yeah, I just thought maybe they're hearing this. Kids, I love you. If you're watching this or listening to this, I love you. But it's just also good to be the two. We love spending time with each other, and we work together. We minister together. We've had businesses together. We've always done things together, like our best friends. So
when our kids left home, for me that was it's a parenting success.
Yes.
They left for the right reasons. And that's something to celebrate.
So what were some of the things that you all did to get them to that point? Because I think that's one of the tough things that transition can be tough. But raising kids to the point to where they're self-sufficient. It's sufficient on the Lord, but you know what I mean. They're able to be a productive member of society. They can handle their finances. What are some things that you guys instilled in your kids?
Good question.
That's a big question.
One thing is kids are watching you, so they're going to watch what you're doing, and we try to explain to them what we're doing. So why we made certain decisions. We'll explain to them why we're doing certain things, and obviously age appropriate. But as they're getting older now, in fact, one of them said, I won't name names, we have 4 kids, right? We have 3 natural children, and then our daughter got married, so now we have what we call our big son, who's 6'4", and
she's only about 5 foot, right?
She's less than 5 foot.
9.
She's 4'9".
Yeah. Me
Big
and
difference.
her are
She's 4'9". Yeah, Liz was very excited to find someone on her level.
Other small humans.
Yeah. You all are on the same level over here. Me and Kent are like giants with our 5 foot something. But anyway, he's our 4th son. So now we have 4 kids, we say, And in fact, one of them, I won't tell you which one of them said, well, why don't you just buy this? He was looking at this truck or something. And I actually explained to them and sat them down and said, this is why I'm not going to use this money to buy this toy, vehicle at the moment. And I explained to them, I'm going to use that money and I'm going to buy an investment, and that investment is going to actually pay me money, and then I can use the excess of that investment to then go and buy a toy rather than just buying a toy. So we try to explain things. And now they're older, we can explain them in detail. When they're little, we did things like, we never gave them money as an allowance. This is controversial.
So we never gave our kids pocket money. I know, different people have different, parenting styles, but we wanted our kids to understand that we don't prosper on a welfare system.
Yeah.
Come on.
Pocket money is like welfare.
Oh,
so we weren't going to give them pocket money. We weren't going to give them welfare. We're naturally entrepreneurial, so we just involved them in things that we were excited about and explained along the way, this is what we're doing. And there were certain chores when they were little that they had to do just because it's part of living in a family household.
Come on.
You help with the dishes, you help to tidy up, you take care of, they each had an animal they had to take care of. They were just age appropriate things, part of living in together in a home.
That's right.
But then entrepreneurial things, like if they wanted a toy, if they wanted something out of the ordinary, we gave them opportunities to earn to earn money to be able to go and make those purchases. So pulling weeds, things like that. And we always gave them things on a commission basis.
Oh, that's good.
Rather than a flat rate. So, whether it was a dime a weed and, we gave them a big 5-gallon bucket, you go out, pull
those
the
big
weeds.
candle weeds, you know, they're really big candle weeds that are hard to
Yes.
pull out. There was like a dime each one of those.
And we had rules, like the youngest
Usually
child
mixing
pulls
money
the
and
smaller
weeds
one.
not a good thing. It's a situation that works.
Thank you for clarifying. This was like regular garden
Yeah.
weeds,
Especially
not
if you live
ones
in
you
Colorado.
smoke.
Especially if you live in Colorado, that could be misconstrued.
So that the youngest child had to pick the small weeds, the middle child picked the medium-sized weeds, and our eldest one, he got to pick the big weeds, because they were stronger.
Candle weeds.
So,
So it's commission based. So we wanted to teach them one that money doesn't come from nothing. Like you have to actually, it's not welfare. We don't want to teach them welfare. We want to teach them that money, work equals money. In Ephesians 4:28 it says, "Let him who stole steal no longer, but rather let him work with his hands, that which is good, so he may have something to give." So we showed them that work produces money. Good things happen when you go to work. I tell people, job is good.
there's a blessing on diligence.
There's a
right?
blessing
That's
on
right,
diligence.
yeah.
God actually gave Adam a job. He had to actually had a job to work the garden before he met Eve, and before the fall. People think, well, work's a curse. No, the work was always a blessing.
That's right.
So we wanted to associate their work with money, and then we also wanted to teach them how to give, how to save and give. I tell people, really, it's pretty simple. Work, save, and give. And we get those three things, and those three things, I think, even as young kids, even 4, 5, 6-year-olds, you can start training them work, save, give, and what that means. So, you do a job, you pull weeds, you pull candle weeds out, you pull 10 candle weeds, here's $1. You take that $1, and you know what, you're going to give 10 cents of that at least. And you teach them, that 10 cents of that you're going to give to the church or whatever you want to give, and then 10 cents you're going to save. Teach them that, and then now you've got 80 cents, you can go and buy something if you want. So try to coach them at that young age.
I remember as well, we watched a lot of Shark Tank.
The only
We
TV
watched
we
Shark
watched,
Tank all the time with our kids.
the only TV we watched was things like that, Shark Tank and The Profit, the business type stuff,
Yeah,
entertainment
yeah.
stuff. The Apprentice back in the day.
That was
Original
on VHS. I think,
VHS,
yeah.
The Original Apprentice, back in the day. It teaches them, it's entertaining, but it also teaches them some business skills and some business language. And
It's
stuff like
interesting that that would be one of the only types of entertainment or TV you would watch. But I find it really probably, I'll say a biblical proportion, because when you look at Jesus' ministry, he talked about money almost more than any other thing, depending on how you look at some of his, some of the references there, maybe more than anything else. And I think that a lot of it goes back to where if, money is the least. And I think sometimes people want to put dreams in their kids' hearts, or like, hear the Lord, go shoot for the moon, but they can't even balance a checkbook, or I don't know that we really balance
Practical
one, but
opportunities
just
is really important.
We're showing our age because the kids don't know what balancing is.
Yeah, I know. I said that, and I'm like,
I've
okay,
never
right.
balanced a checkbook.
Well,
Balancing your Venmo account.
but you know how much is coming in. You know what to do with your money.
Yeah.
You know how to
Income
handle
and
and steward your
expenses.
money. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a lost art. And then we want kids to be successful in life. And Jesus said, if you're faithful in that which is least, then you'll be made ruler over much.
Yeah.
And he was speaking about money in that passage.
Luke 16 actually even says, if you've been faithful in unrighteous mammon, who will give you the true riches? If you've been faithful in another man's, who will give you your own? If you've been faithful in the least, who will give you much? So it's definitely a biblical test or principle, if you like. And people think that, I love teaching on finances and money, and I talk my kids on that, and they think, well, you should teach something more spiritual. It's actually a reflection of our hearts if we know how to handle money. And what happens is, Ken, is you find that some children are naturally bent in certain ways.
Yeah.
So, for instance, you can find out if someone's a giver, if someone's a saver or a spender pretty quick. So, like, if your child has money and are they looking to spend it right away? Some of our kids were spenders. They just wanted to spend it, buy something. That money was burning a hole in their pocket. One of them, for instance, did some YouTube videos. This was before YouTube was really that big. We're talking about over 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Made some YouTube videos. These videos, Google started sending us checks.
Wow.
These videos took off. They went viral, hundreds of thousands of views, and they started getting checks. When those checks come from Google, they were like desperate to spend those checks. What can we spend those checks on? Then some others of our kids, I'll be really careful not to mention names too much, but then some other of our kids are much more savers, and they like to have the money and save it. Well, those savers need to usually be taught how to give. And those spenders need to be taught how to save. And so there's some good little basic principle things you can do.
I remember one time our daughter she was like 11 years old, and she was at home and she really wanted us to go on Amazon and purchase for her this dog leash that you could walk like multiple dogs at once.
She wanted to start a dog walking
She wanted to
business.
start a dog walking
Dog
business.
walking business.
So I think it was like $12 or something was the dog leash. And, she didn't have a credit card or anything, so she wanted us to make the purchase, but she didn't have any money. And so Ashley said to her, well, you need to figure out, Mum and Dad have got to go to work today. It was during the school holidays. You need to figure out how to come up with $12. She said, okay. So we came home and the kitchen was an absolute mess. I mean, like there was flour everywhere. It looked like a flour bomb had gone off in the kitchen. But sitting on the kitchen counter was 12 $1 bills. And we're like, Hannah, what have you been doing today? And she says, well, I looked online and I found an organic dog recipe.
Dog treat recipe.
And
Dog
so
treat
I
recipe.
I raided the pantry and found the ingredients, baked the dog treats in the oven, put them in little Ziploc bags and went round and sold them to the neighbours for $1 a bag. So now can you go buy me my dog leash? Like, wow.
She used your supplies though, right?
She used us.
Yeah, we didn't
charge her for that. We thought that was ingenuity.
It was.
We
That's
charged
good.
her for the research,
good.
for the supplies, and for the kitchen rental, but we didn't.
Yeah,
do that. But
good
it's
lesson.
making kids
Yeah.
think outside the box.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the problems is in America. It's the same in England. In America, we're taught the school system's set up, and it's actually behind on ages. I don't want to get too technical here, but basically, we started with the agricultural age where we would go and grow our own vegetables and fruit and vegetables and stuff and then eat them. Then we moved into the industrial age, and the industrial age has been in for like 100 years, and basically what that is you go and get a job, you work at a factory, Henry Ford type stuff, and you help make something and you get paid for your time to do that. Mm-hmm. We're now in the information age, and we've been in the information age probably for 20 years, but the school system's still teaching us in the industrial age. And what the industrial age teaches our kids, unfortunately, is you get specialised in this subject, and then you go and get a job, and you trade your time for money, and that's it. And that's very limiting, and it's a shame because I really believe that there's so much more to earning money, and entrepreneurialism is a gift of God. I believe God is God's this way, the parable of the talents. God's got very capitalistic, and this entrepreneurial gift is in people. This creativity is in people.
Yeah, especially kids. I think kids are natural entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They have such a wild imagination. They really have the confidence. They believe they can do everything.
Yeah.
And, they haven't had a life experience to tell them they can't yet. Mm-hmm. And if we just, engage our kids and show them practical things, get alongside them and do things with them, they can be wildly successful entrepreneurs at a fairly young age.
Yes.
And it's not overlooking those practical skills that our kids need. And really, as parents, we're the only ones that can teach them how to do it.
Yeah.
They need to know practical stuff that's age appropriate and have responsibilities at a young age.
So, do you think that there's a place?
Yeah, go ahead, Pastor Liz.
Oh wow, okay.
I was just going to say, so teaching your kids responsibility isn't a bad thing.
No, I don't think so. I mean,
Very healthy.
our kids, once they got to like 10 years old, they all did their own laundry. I'm like, at 10 years old, you can press buttons on, if you can press buttons on a PlayStation, you can press buttons on a washing machine,
True
right?
story.
Right.
And so, they, and what was the worst that's going to happen? I didn't make them do the family laundry. They did their own.
Yeah.
So if they didn't do their laundry and they got up for school the next day and they didn't have clothes to wear, I'm like, oh, that's a shame.
Right?
You're going to
You
have to
wear dirty
problem
pants.
solve.
One of our brothers
Yeah.
took it on himself to steal underwear from the other brother. That used to cause
There
some
was
contention.
underwear thievery that went on a
Underwear
lot.
thievery. What did happen?
See, I
in
just
our
think
house.
that's gross. I wouldn't do that.
Clean underwear.
I'd
Then
rather
They
do
stole their
dirty
brother's
ones.
clean
Clean
underwear.
underwear, but even clean underwear, you still think it's gross. But yeah, responsibility is huge, Liz. And I think nowadays that people don't teach their kids responsibility.
We don't because it costs us as parents, right, to teach
Takes
them
time.
It does.
responsibility.
It's discipleship.
It's easy to
It
do it
is.
yourself.
It's way easier to be
Yeah.
like, I can just get this done way quicker myself than bringing them alongside of you, teaching you, or you teaching them how to do it, and then giving them permission and opportunity to do the thing that you taught them to do. They're not going to do it perfectly the first time or the second time or sometimes the third time, but you're continuing to give them chances to grow.
Because it's more than
in
about
that.
getting the job done. It's about teaching them a skill.
Yeah.
Teaching them to use their own brain.
Yeah.
So I this is one of the things I found is that there's people that they'll want their kids to step into that, but they themselves have not stepped into that at all.
Oh, that's good.
As far as being like an entrepreneur or something.
Ingenuitive.
So what would you say to somebody that maybe they've got more of an industrial mindset?
Yeah.
I actually tend to have that because I was raised in an upholstery shop. I traded my time for money, and then I started my own draper installation business. Traded my time for money.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad gig.
No,
You got to
it's
make
not.
money, but it's limiting when you only think there. So what would you say to a parent that has kids that wants they themselves to step out.
And that's a great story. We need people to be employed. We need employees and stuff. But real quickly, before I answer that question, you said you was employed and then you were self-employed.
Yeah.
Both of those are very limiting because you're both, even if you're self-employed, people think they're self-employed, they can make more money, but self-employed people still only trade in time for money.
They're kind of owning a job.
You own your job. So really, if you're employed, you're working for money. And you have a job. If you're self-employed, you just own a job, and you're still trading your time for money. Though the employed and self-employed people in America, they make up 90% of the workforce. 10% they make up 90% of the way we make money. So that's how the money comes. 10% of the people make money by being investors or business owners. Now, the difference between a business owner and a self-employed person, a business owner means they can step away and the business still makes money. They own the system.
They have a business that works for them.
They have a business that works for them. They don't have to be in the business. If they're in the business, they're just still self-employed. And then investors, they make money work for them. So they like buy real estate and then live off the rent, or they buy investments and so they actually make their money work for them. But did you know only 10% of the people in America get their money through being investors or business owners? 90% get their money from being employed or self-employed. We are taught in the school system to be self-employed or employed. We're not taught how to be investors and business owners. The interesting thing is 90% of the wealth in America, roughly 90% of the wealth comes through investing
From the 10%.
and from business owning, and only 10%. So 90% of the people in America are sharing the 10% for being employed and self-employed. I don't care if you're a doctor making $300,000 a year, you're still limited to that self-employed mentality. If you're an investor or a business owner, there is no limits. There is literally no limits because you're not trading your time for money, and there's no limits what you can earn. So you're sharing the 90% between 10% of people. So that was. I didn't even answer the question.
No, that was really good.
It's good.
But I think, where we come from can limit us, our level of education, our family upbringing, our experience, whatever. And I know as parents, I did not want my limitations to become a limitation for our children. I want them to go beyond us.
Amen.
And I want to plan for legacy. I want to, influence my family tree. I want my kids to be more fruitful than we've ever been. And to stop my limitations becoming their limitations, we had to educate ourselves. You can't keep doing the same things. And sometimes we look back at our family and maybe no one's ever been to college. No one's ever owned their own home. No one's ever whatever. Well, why can't it start with you? Why can't it start with your generation? If you identify something in your life or from your family tree that you want to change, you absolutely can do that, but it doesn't happen accidentally.
Come on,
so,
that's true.
We can be intentional about changing generations after us and leaving generational wealth. And if we don't naturally have that expertise on the inside of us, we can educate ourselves.
That's right.
We're in the information age. There's so much free material out there. There's so many books. There's so many, like YouTube or whatever. There's videos on how to do just about anything.
You can just YouTube it. I haven't asked permission to do this, Ken, but I'm just going to do it, and then you can tell me if not. But I had a lady come to me in Dallas. She had her 3 little children. I think there were 7.
They were tiny.
7, 5, and 3. And they came to them with money, with offerings for me. Cash offerings. And it was really humbling. I didn't want to take their money, but the Lord said, you better take their money. They'd all started their own little businesses. One of them was breeding rabbits, and this was this was 10% of the profits, this rabbit breeding business. The other one was baking cookies and selling them, and this is their 10% from baking cookies. And the other one was making jewellery boxes, really fancy jewellery boxes, selling them online on Etsy, and this was her profits.
And these are little kids.
These are little kids. And the mum told me she didn't understand any of this. She was, like you were saying, she only knew how to be an employee. But she got my book and actually taught the kids my book, and they actually learnt it together, and that's how they went into doing things like that. So if any of your listeners want my book completely free of charge, all they've got to do is go to terradez.com/thorns, THORNS. The reason why it's called Thorns is because the book's called Thorns, Barns and Oil Jars. It talks about working, saving and giving, and those 3 things. And there's some practical things in there how to become entrepreneurial. Thorns, Barns and Oil Jars is the name of the book. So go to terradez.com/thorns. Terradez is spelled TERRADEZ.com/thorns, THORNS. And they can have that completely free, Ken. It's our gift to your listeners.
Yes,
but that type of stuff is what we need to do. We need to educate ourselves and then let our kids go beyond us. Like Kai said, I want all our kids, I know you do, you want your 4 boys to go beyond you. Like our 100-fold should be our children's 30-fold. Our ceiling should be their floor. They should start on our shoulders and do more than us.
That's good. And I think that one of the things that could be said along with this too, and we'll end with this because we're out of time, but people get really limited in thinking that they can't do something different than what they were brought up in. I went to Bible college because I felt called to do it, but I didn't see myself as anybody but like an upholsterer and a drapery installer. That's what I grew up doing. I didn't think that, oh my gosh, so now we're investing in real estate and doing different things like that. And so
you had to consider those things as a possibility
Yeah.
before
See
you
yourself
stepped
differently.
into them.
Yeah.
We had to open our
and
expand
you
our
don't
thinking.
you don't have to. So yeah, you can be limited by like education or what you have, or what you don't have. But you don't necessarily have to go back to school or whatever. There's so much information out there that you can learn. Like a lot of things that I've learned about finances, I learned from Billy Epperhart.
Yeah.
Just listening. Of course, you guys know him.
Yeah.
He's on your board and
Yeah.
everything. So there's so much out there that you can learn and you can grow and step into more. You just have to realize that God doesn't want you to be limited in your thinking and your finances. And there's so much available.
Yeah.
Just be willing to step out and learn some
We live in a
things.
unique time, Ken. I really believe the internet is a gift. I mean, we now in the palm of our hands. I'm holding up my cell phone. In the palm of our hands, we have more information than they ever had 50 years ago. Like, if we want to find out how to go to the library and all that type of stuff, I mean, we have so much
I had to go
information
and
now.
get a stack of books.
Stack
and
of
take
books.
them home.
I truly
bus.
believe.
Our kids don't even, they're like, what? What are you talking about?
It's a library.
We had an encyclopedia that took up a whole bookshelf.
Now you
Right?
say, hey Siri, tell me about this.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
So I really believe that this is set up for wealth transfer. I believe
Yes.
the Lord set it up so that we can actually receive the wealth of the wicked stored up. Proverbs 13:22. We can actually receive wealth. We've got the power to get wealth, and I believe through the internet, through information age, we could start businesses, side hustles, all different types of things, and we receive the wealth. Why? Not to lavish on ourselves, but because God wants to establish His kingdom.
That's
Yeah,
right.
and we can help God establish His kingdom by doing that. So let's not be limited by our thinking anymore. Let's get beyond that. And let's help our kids get beyond that. And let's educate our kids to be able to make money rather than just work for money.
That's right.
Amen. Well, thank you guys for being on Family by Design.
Our pleasure.
So if people want to get in contact with you, become partners with you, they
thank you.
go to Terradez.com.
Yep.
Terradez.com, simple as that.
Awesome.
Love you all. Thanks for doing this podcast. We
absolutely.
love it. It's very
Thanks.
needed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, amen. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Family by Design. I pray that you were blessed as you listen to the word of the Lord for your life today. I want to encourage you to go on and leave us a review and a 5-star rating. If this ministry is blessing you, go to our website at www.wartmen.org. There you can find more resources, and you can also consider partnering with this ministry. If you like what we're doing, we just pray that you would at least join us in prayer and consider supporting us financially as we take the gospel deep into the hearts of people. Gospel preached, hearts awakened, and nations reformed.